Good morning, everyone. It is Monday, June 2nd, and this week I'm going to take you guys along and show you how many hours I put in to this backyard. This is probably one of my most asked questions is how many hours am I putting in? How many hours am I preserving? And then as an extra bonus, I'm going to include chickens in there as well off to the side. And I want to do a breakdown of how many hours this actually takes me because I have a rough idea of what I'm putting in, but I don't really know exactly. And honestly, this changes depending on the demand of the garden and the time of year. Right now, it's not going to be as demanding as come another 6 to 8 weeks once we have tomatoes and peppers coming in, because my preserving load goes up significantly. So this might be a fun little video to do a few times throughout the season, but figured I would take you guys along. I'm not doing too much this morning, honestly. I am very tired. We had a very busy weekend. I'm gonna get my potatoes mulched, and then I'm actually gonna go around and harvest a few things. We are officially starting to get really warm here, so I need to go ahead and get the rest of my broccoli. It's starting to not look as tight of a head, so that is the plan, and let's see what this week brings. See how these heads are starting to reach? You really are looking for it to be more compact, but this is just fine. These three here are in some of my shadiest little areas of this corner here. So I'm actually going to leave these ones, and I'm gonna leave the plants because I will harvest these bottom leaves and stuff, give it to the chickens. You can see this one super up behind because that just started to form. Basket of broccoli. Here you go. Once I got everything harvested, I brought it inside and I started to get everything preserved. I got my cabbage and mint cleaned and chopped and into the freeze dryer and moved on to my broccoli. I like to let my broccoli and cabbage and things of this nature sit in some salt water to help release any caterpillars that might be hiding. That's a little hack I like to do. I blanched these for 2 minutes and I followed with an ice bath to stop any cooking. I ran these through my salad spinner to get any extra water off, and then I placed these onto a baking sheet to pre-freeze before storing away. I will typically pre-freeze for about 6 to 12 hours just to make sure everything doesn't stick together when I freeze them. Tonight looks like this. I am getting the coop cleaned, I am checking eggs first, and then I need to water the garden and fertilize the garden tonight. How many eggs did we get? We got 3 today. So I hand water everything in my garden, and tonight I'm gonna lightly water some stuff because we do have rain chances on and off all day tomorrow. So I don't want to water everything too heavily. I just know that some of these garden beds are really, really dry and I don't want to leave them dry overnight. So watering tonight might not take me as long as it typically does. And chicken keeping, I do like a deep clean roughly every 2 weeks. That only took me about 20 minutes, like 21 minutes. All right, so as always, I'm gonna use some fish and seaweed fertilizer in my sprayer. I'm probably going to make up 3 or 4 gallons, and I'm going to fertilize everything minus the garlic, and probably honestly the broccoli, since most of it's harvested at this point anyway. This is the furthest behind I've got with fertilizing this year. I've been really good about every 10 days, and it's definitely been a little over 2 weeks. So don't worry, I'm really glad I watered last night, because I'm willing to bet we definitely got more than 5 inches of rain today. All it's done has been a complete downpour all day. We definitely got more than this. So I didn't need to water at all. We had a 30% chance of rain. Not a lot going on today. I got the cabbage and the peppermint out of the freeze dryer, and then I got my broccoli all vacuum sealed as well. But I'll show you that corner. And I guess you can tack on like a minute for checking on the chickens, because I had to collect eggs. We have never had like this much rain. The trellis area still is pretty flooded, and we still have rain chances. Well guys, I highly doubt I'm going to have to water the rest of the week, so that saves me a lot of time this week. We ended up getting over 5 inches of rain yesterday. There was flash flooding all over town. We still have water back here. It is honestly still pretty soupy. At least back here, it got pretty wet yesterday. I honestly have never seen that much rain at this house for as long as I've lived here, and I've been here for 9 years now. And I don't think anyone was honestly expecting it, because most of the time when they say we're not really gonna get much rain, we typically don't. It was just downpouring for 5 or 6 hours, and it was still sprinkling last night when I checked the rain gauge and checked on the eggs and everything. So I really don't have too much to do tonight. My plan for tonight is to get a few things staked up. With all that heavy rain, we also had some wind yesterday, and I probably needed to go ahead and stake my snapdragons a little bit more, and then my yarrow. So you might be able to see my snapdragons here are slightly bending. It's because they are flopped over, and when that happens, they're trying to like curve toward the light. A lot of these are still just fine, but I really need to get this area done. And then my yarrow over here, I have stringed up with some T-post, and that works really well. But again, it was just so rainy yesterday that things just kind of flopped over and got heavy. So I'm just gonna work around doing that. I might try to weed a little bit, because it's a really good time to weed when the ground is really moist like this. But guys, we still have more rain coming. That's the thing that really sucks, because the garlic is currently dying back, and I really need it to kind of stop raining so the garlic can dry out before it's too late. But we're supposed to have more rain tonight, and then more rain on Friday, and we are still under flash flood warnings. So again, I'm not gonna have to water anything, at least probably until next week, and that alone saves me about 30-45 minutes each day. I am also gonna go ahead and rip out this chamomile, because it's really dying back, and let the girls have some fun with this. Over the years, I have found I really like using this green twine, because it tends to blend in to where you can't really tell you're using anything. Good morning, everyone. It is Thursday and I am just collecting some more peas. I harvested a little bit of these, was it Monday or Tuesday? And then I grabbed a few last night before going in, and I knew that there'd be a few more ready this morning. I'm going to actually just get these blanched, and I'm gonna do the same process that I've been doing for the broccoli, where I put them into boiling water for a few minutes and then I give them an ice bath so they will stop cooking, and then I'll lay them flat on a cookie sheet and I'll toss them in my freezer. That way they can pre-freeze and they won't get stuck together during the freezing process. And then I will vacuum seal these in probably like half a cup increments or so, because I really like to just throw snap peas and snow peas into stir fries a lot of the time. So I typically don't use a huge amount all at once. So that is kind of the plan for this morning. I'm just gonna finish picking the ones that look like they are ready to go. It looks like this plant is starting to die back a little bit. So I don't expect us to have peas all that much longer. And this will probably be like that one wave I can really get enough to where I feel like processing isn't a waste of time. I think it's starting to lightly sprinkle. We're supposed to get rain on and off kind of all day today, and it's supposed to be just like these little waves of rain, I think until tonight. I think tonight is when we're supposed to get even more rain that we really don't need. I'm sure the farmers would say otherwise. So I came inside and I got the peas blanched and into the freezer, and later on I checked for any pests and I hand picked them off. I gave those to my chickens for a little snack. It's a great revenge for the garden, let me tell you. And I walked around just to check everything out, and that was about it. We got almost another inch of rain last night. So our total for the week so far, after 5 days, is over 6 inches. It's really wet back here, so I really don't plan to do too much in the actual garden space, and I don't need to do anything for the chickens today. So I'm going to knock out all of my cleaning I have for seed starting equipment, which is like my least favorite part of starting seeds. So I'm gonna get all of my seedling trays cleaned up today, and all the nursery pots I used, I think I need to collect some out of the shed and possibly downstairs. And honestly, I might end up cleaning my seed starting room up as well. I need to completely reset all of that. So I think that might take a little chunk out of the day. I also am going to go ahead and get my curing rack here nicely cleaned for when I get my onions out. I hang my garlic in my garage, but the onion curing station just needs a nice little wash down to make sure it's nice and clean, just because I had all of that mold issue with curing last year. I collected all my stuff, and now seeing it, I really don't want to start with that. So I'm going to start by getting my shed just a little bit more organized, because it's also starting to drive me crazy because I put all of that solar plastic away like an idiot. I'm not throwing this away. I'm just putting it all in a bag so it can just stay all together. And now I have 2 bins I can wash stuff, so that will actually go quicker. All of that is clean and stacked up, ready to dry. I'm gonna tackle this now. It looks crooked because this is kind of slanted. Gonna spray vinegar on it as well as like extra precaution. Okay, so now that all of this is done, I'm going to take a little bit of a break, and I'm gonna allow all of this stuff to dry. And Here in about an hour or so, we will tackle the seed room. Not gonna lie, this is probably the best it's ever been as far as after seed starting goes. I really just need a vacuum and just get stuff organized. It's really not that bad down here. Like I said, compared to some years, I really kept up on it this year outside of washing my seed starting equipment. So I'm gonna vacuum, I'm gonna organize and get this room back together. Nice. Come on. Thank you. I'm really not excited to talk about this at the moment. One of the things you worry about as a gardener is getting just drip damage from neighbors. I'm really sad about it. So on Thursday, me and my husband were outside and one of our neighbors saw and approached us just to let us know, like, hey, there's poison ivy in that back corner. And I will say, this did not even click with me until the moment that he walked away, because he was just saying like, yeah, like we had to get rid of it. I'm really allergic to it. And his wife sprayed that back corner. At the moment he walked away, I was like, no. I don't know if you guys recall or not, but last week I showed you guys all of my tomatoes and a few of my peppers and a few of the other spots in the garden, and I 100% have herbicide damage. I was really hoping it was just kind of the fluke weather, but it isn't. It is definitely herbicide damage, because they came over and confirmed that she sprayed that back corner. My tomatillos over there are discolored. My tomatoes look worse than ever. My potatoes are directly down and they look some of the worst. I have green bean damage throughout the trellis and a few pepper plants. The thing that really sucks is this is my 8th year gardening, and for 6 out of those 8 years, I never had that issue with herbicide damage or anything. And last year I had that issue. I had tomatoes along the fence line back here, and another neighbor sprayed that exact same corner and caused 6 of my tomato plants to literally just never produce. And I had a handful of green bean plants that did just terribly, and they were very viney. I wanted to look into it a little bit further because I do 100% organic gardening, and I also I don't spray anything. I don't even spray for pests organically in this garden. So our extension office from K-State University states that the gardener should make the decision if they would want to eat it. Apparently there's been no studies on if glyphosate or any other broadleaf herbicides get onto the leaf, if that will go through onto the fruit. And honestly, like, how would it not? Like, doesn't things on our skin end up going through our entire body? So this morning I will be ripping out most of my tomatoes and a handful of peppers and tomatillos and potatoes and a few green beans. It really sucks. I'm fortunate that it's really early in the season, so I have some tomato seeds. I wish I would have started more. I currently have 4 plants started that I was originally planning on succession sowing with garlic. I have 8 pepper plants that I started in February that I never planted out, that I uppotted, that I have. I don't know how tomatoes are gonna go though. So most of these are coming out. I'm fortunate to where about 2 out of those 3 romas back there look good. Some of them were hit, and then the tomatillos, they look pretty rough as far as discoloration and curl goes, and they're the closest to that back corner. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pull all those. I was really excited about tomatillos this year because I've never grown them. So since I didn't say anything in the moment, I just felt in my heart that I needed to at least inform them about the effects of herbicide damage on a garden. So I wrote a letter to them just kind of explaining what happened and all of that, and to please warn me if they decide that they need to spray again, where hopefully I can do some type of preventative measure. I did read that, say it just happened, you can go and spray your foliage in hopes that it will wash off the plant and not seep into the plant. I could have created some type of wind block. And here's the other thing, guys, you do not need herbicides to kill weeds. It's so out of my control. But you can just use boiling water or vinegar or a mixture of the two, and it's going to kill your weeds. Do you have to be a little bit more diligent? Yes, but you're not getting any of those harsh chemicals or risking someone's garden. So I'm definitely a little heartbroken. One other thing I would like to add is obviously farmers use different types of herbicides and their crops are just fine. That is because those seeds are resistant to what they're using. If you've ever heard of Roundup Ready seeds and things like that, they are resistant to that herbicide. So that's where GMO and things like that come into play. And unfortunately, that is just the world we live in, where it's more the norm than the not. So I hope you don't have to deal with this summer, but I hope that if you do end up dealing with it, you don't feel as discouraged as you potentially would, because it's not in your control. I really don't feel like being out here at this point looking at it, just getting myself more in my feels. If I do anything else today as far as the garden goes, I will tack that on to the time, and I will give you guys a list at the very end here of how many hours I spent in the garden. I'm going to go ahead and add like my seed starting room and like equipment and stuff like that into that, because that is part of gardening, is the cleanup aspect of it all and preserving, chicken keeping, all of that. But thank you guys so much for being here this week. And again, I'm so sorry to end it on a downer note, but it's just sometimes gardening can be a little upsetting. So thank you guys. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.